Hello, everyone. So we just got the verdict on the Diddy case. Um, Count one, racketeering, not guilty. Count two, sex trafficking, not guilty. Count three, prostitution, guilty. Count four, sex trafficking, not guilty. Count five, transportation to engage in prostitution, guilty. Okay, so they're saying now that with those two charges on the prostitution, Diddy could face up to 20 years in prison, because each count carries a maximum of 10 years. The defense, as of right now, they're trying to persuade the judge to release Diddy from jail because after he got arrested, he's been in jail since September. So it's now July 2nd. So they're trying to push to get him released until his date to serve time for counts three and five. But I wonder. The jury consisted of 8 men, 4 women, and I wonder if the verdict would have been different or the same if there were 8 women as opposed to 4 men. So the fact that, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that he was found not guilty on the racketeering. I think that because we've been hearing, legal analysts say that it's very hard to prove the RICO. If it's hard to prove the RICO, maybe the prosecution would fail on that one. And so in the end, they did. They were not able to prove the RICO. And according to the news, they've been talking that this is a win for the defense because counts one, two, and four carried life sentences, whereas counts three and five carry a maximum sentence of 10 years. So they're thinking that this is a win for the defense. But at the end of the day, Diddy has to go to jail because he was found guilty on counts three and five. So, I mean, I don't want to make a joke out of it, but I mean, what does this prove? It proves that he's not a racketeer, he's not a sex trafficker, but it proves that he's a pimp. You know, it's like, okay, I mean, I'm watching the trial, and I was keeping up to date. I was following this trial really closely over the past 8 weeks. And I'm thinking, okay, he might get off on the racketeering, but he's guilty of something that we know. And the fact that he settled the case 2 years ago, where Cassie Ventura settled for $20 million, I'm thinking to myself, maybe she should not have settled on that case. She should have went ahead with the trial and get her $30 million that she wanted. Because over the course of this trial, the defense keeps saying, hey, this is not a domestic violence case. He's not guilty of the racketeering. And the defense is saying, oh, well, the prosecution over exaggerated. And so it seemed as though that the jury believed the defense to a certain extent. And I get it. I get it, and I respect their decision because they've been at it for a good 3 days. They had to come back this morning and finally make a decision on it. And the judge promised that he would get them out before the 4th of July, and he was able to do that. So, the defense is going to appeal on counts three and five because they have the right to. But I feel that because he was found not guilty on counts one, two, and four, if the defense filed for an appeal, they might actually lose that appeal because I think that the jury did a really good job at making sure that they collected all the evidence that they needed to make a decision, and they put a lot of thought into it. They started deliberating Monday. Today's Wednesday. So it's not like they came to this conclusion lightly. They put a lot of thought into it. And so I think that if the defense decides to appeal, they might lose the appeal, which is great because look at what's going on with Harvey Weinstein. The lawyers filed an appeal and they won, and now there have to be a retrial. So that's not what we want. We want to make sure that the first time you get it right. And I've been following this case because last year I served on the grand jury, and about 10 years ago I served on a malpractice case. So as a person who has experience on the jury, I was really interested in this case. And also because I was not paying attention to R. Kelly's case. And so R. Kelly is now in jail. And so it was like, okay, Diddy's next. And it's like, oh no. I really thought that Diddy had changed his ways. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, he had run-ins with the law. So I thought that he had changed, but clearly he has not because of this trial. They've been looking at him, and what really started this whole thing off was when Cassie filed that first lawsuit and sued for 30 million. That's what really started this whole thing. And damn. But one thing that I disagree with the defense on, the defense mentioned in their closing argument that this was one of the greatest love stories of all time. That is grossly not true. So if the defense proved that the prosecution over exaggerated with the charges, the defense exaggerated on the greatest love story because as we have found over the past 8 weeks, look, Cassie was 19 when she signed on to Bad Boy, and she was given a 10 album deal. And instead of her releasing her second album, we never got new music. And so eventually she ended up being Diddy's girlfriend on the red carpet. And, there was an age gap there. At the time she was 19, at the time Diddy was 38. And so even though they did not prove RICO and sex trafficking because she was a consented adult, at that age, she was also still impressionable. And, in my opinion, this is not a love story. This is what I call a grown-ass man manipulating a young woman when she was at the beginning of her musical career. And over the 8 years that they were together, he did a lot of shitty things to sabotage her career. So, even though the prosecution did not prove RICO and sex trafficking, the defense was grossly wrong by saying that this was a love story for the ages. No, it's not. No, it's not. She was young, and she was impressionable, and Diddy took advantage of that. So, yeah, I mean, this just proves that Cassie should have never settled, and she should have went ahead with the case and maybe won that 30 million instead of 20 million. Because after the past 8 weeks, I'm thinking, you know what? She should not have settled for 20 million. She wanted 30, should have gotten 30. She should have let the case go to trial. It's just no. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this trial. I'm interested to learn what you guys have to say. But anyway, take care, everybody.